And then other times it's a good way to reflect on painting. Like if I have a problem in art or something like that I'm trying to think about or solve, sometimes I'll spend some time thinking about that. But most of the time I try not to think. It's a good way to like turn off the brain and by focusing on, you know, the water and the actual movement. And even when I was at my worst and really symptomatic and fainting and couldn't walk and, you know, falling down all the time, I'd like crawl down to the pool and get in the water, and I'd start to feel better. When I get in, my headaches would start to go away. I'd start to feel a little better. So it's this big kind of, you know, relief, and I could move around a little bit in the water, and it was a good way to kind of get some conditioning in. And more than that, it was, you know, it was like this little sanctuary where I wasn't really feeling as bad. When I was 9 is when I got really symptomatic. I was actually, what triggered it is that I was playing soccer and I got kicked in the stomach when I was going up and jumping for the ball, and I went for the headbutt and the other guy went to kick it, and he kicked me like underneath the ribs basically from the angle, and that's what like triggered pretty much everything. And I got a really severe cough, which kept going like all day and all night, like 10 times, you know, in a minute, and kind of like that kind of a rate, even when I'd sleep. And so the doctors thought it was asthma, but then I started developing other symptoms: dizziness, headaches, trouble breathing, stomach issues, nerve pain, things that weren't just like respiratory, so you knew that there was something more going on. It was intermittent, so it kind of came and went. It was actually on quite the timetable. It was like 5 days sick, and then like start to recover on day 6 and 7, and then I'd be fine, and then like 6 weeks would go by and it would happen again, and it was almost like clockwork. So dysautonomia is a dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system, so everything automatic in your body: blood pressure, heart rate, breathing, circulation. Everything you don't think about, your body just takes care of. My mom originally, on her 45th birthday, let's say I was 13 at this time, and she decided to go ahead and create an art room for herself. That's how I started painting. It was really as an emotional kind of outlet for everything that was going on. It was a way to distance myself from that, but at the same time, you know, examine it and express it. And so it really became a way for me to be able to interact with the world in a slightly less stressful kind of way. Assuming that I don't start feeling like really crappy. Today's kind of a crappy day, but eventually I like started thinking like, oh, what if I want to do this more than just as an emotional release, you know? I started to grow up, and eventually I went to my mom and was like, I think I might want to be an artist. And she was like, finally, and she like handed me all this information that she had already printed out on like colleges with art programs and stuff. She's like, here, go ahead, like have at it. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that it was so obvious. And so yeah, so that's, I mean, eventually, you know, the art grew into something more. And now I'm really, my goal is to become an art therapist. That's the career path that I've chosen. Actually, kind of like that. You know, you're thinking about composition when you use stuff like this, and you're thinking about color, and you know, you use texture, space, dimension, you know, all the art things, and there's a little bit of thought involved in it. Like I just did all of these, so I know, you know, I kind of know a little bit what it's like, but this is more just kind of like let's have some fun. You gotta take one day at a time. You gotta keep focused on the present and try to find the silver lining in everything, rather than getting completely overwhelmed and anxious. And remember to breathe. I would say when you really get to that level of anxiety, just remember to take a couple deep breaths and take a second to realize that, you know, you can get through this. More than anything, it's a moment in time. You know, it's not your entire life. It's just right now.